Have you ever wanted to host a virtual summit, but then got stuck with all the tech, what platform to use and how to automate your presentations and build your site out? Because it can be quite overwhelming. There is a lot to be done when it comes to building a platform for a virtual summit. Hi, I'm Tim Cooper, and I've been hosting and building virtual summit sites on a number of different platforms since 2018. And some of those platforms had limited functionality. Others gave me exactly what I needed. And over the time of producing these summits, I found ways to automate the presentations that would incentivize the uptake of the lifetime membership, because with summits you give away free access for say 24 hours, and then you encourage people with bonuses and lifetime access to upgrade and pay for the content. And depending on the way that you make the presentations available, you can really increase the conversion to lifetime tickets. And that's what I'm going to show you in this video. I'm going to go through a build of what I have found to be the best way to automate the speaker presentations in a way that is going to encourage people to take up the lifetime access, and therefore you're going to generate more income from your summit. So just before I pop over and start sharing my screen, I also want to say that if you want to get a summit up and running and you don't want to be bothered with all the tech side, because I said there is a lot of work in putting one of these sites together, I do offer a service. And if you'd like to get on a short Zoom call with me and discuss your requirements and see if I'm a good fit, we're a good fit to work together to bring your summit to life and get it published, then there's a link below this video where you can book a call with me. But with that being said, I'm going to jump into my site builder. I do use and recommend Groove, and you can get started with a free Groove account at groovesaver.com. And the reason why I've chosen Groove and believe Groove to be the best solution, the best platform for hosting virtual summits will become apparent as I walk you through the build for the automation of the speaker presentation. So this is just one video, one aspect of building a summit site, but probably the most complex in some ways, because you've got your sales pages and your checkouts and your affiliates and your membership areas, all of which Groove gives you in one integrated bundle. But usually the actual how to get the presentations in front of the viewers is where a lot of people get stuck. So that's what this video is all about. So I'm just going to pop over and share my screen. Okay, so here we are in my Groove dashboard. And as I said, Groove gives you all the tools that you need to successfully build and present and publish a virtual summit. So to get this underway, I'm just going to come into Groove Pages. I'm going to create a new site, and I'm going to use a blank template because we're going to build this from scratch. I'm going to call this Virtual Summit Template. I'm going to start building. Okay, so basically the way that the Groove Pages builder is designed is that there are 3 levels of building. So you have blocks, and within those blocks you have containers, and within those containers you have elements. So blocks are basically sections on the page, and then containers are sections within the block, and then you've got your elements like your text, your videos, your countdown timers, buttons, all that sort of stuff. So to get started, we're just going to click here and we're going to add a block. And once again, I'm just going to be using empty blocks because we want to start from, we want to have control. So that drops in, and that's one block with a container. Now I'm going to create 4 or 5 blocks, and I'll explain this in a minute. So I'm just going to click on this block. I'm going to click the plus underneath it to add another block. I'm going to add another empty container, another empty block. And then I'm going to add another block. and another block, and another block. Now, as I mentioned in the intro, this way of automating the speaker presentations is hands down the best that I've found for conversions to the paid tickets. So it generates a lot more income for the summit using this particular style of presentation, and I'll explain it as we go through. And maybe one more. I think I've got enough. I can always add another one if I don't. And now I'm going to name the blocks, because we're going to be hiding and showing blocks based on timers. So just to avoid any confusion, we want to be able to identify the block. So this first block, so I just click on this block, I click over on the pen icon next to where it says block. I'm just going to type this in, and this is going to be the header. Okay. And then this block is going to be the description. And this block is going to be the pre-presentation block. So now we're sort of getting into how we're driving the automation. This block is going to be the actual live presentation block. This block is going to be the post-presentation block. And this last block here is going to be the footer. Okay, so just come back through. So we've got our header, we've got our description, pre-presentation, live presentation, post-presentation, and footer. Okay, so let's start building this out. So obviously your page will have some sort of header on it. I'm not going to go too far into design per se. Obviously you're going to have your own branding colors and your logos and everything else. But generally speaking, you want some sort of header up the top. So I'm just going to change the background of this to maybe we'll go for a blue color scheme. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the container, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a bit of padding on the left and right of the container. This is so that when we look at responsive design, so when it's on a mobile device or smaller screens, that the stuff isn't running, like the content of the block isn't running right to the very edge of the screen. And then I'm also going, for this example, I'm going to change the layout of this container to be vertical and center. Okay. Then I'm going to come across to my elements, and I'm going to come down to media, and I'm going to click on image. I'm just going to drag that in, and now we can put a logo. So we click on the image, click on the cog that comes up on the ribbon, choose, and we're going to come in. Now, obviously you can upload all the images that you want. I might just take this one, and you would maybe want to have this linked back to the speaker schedule. So if they click on the icon, they go back to the speaker schedule page for the entire summit. That's up to you. Right. And then I'm just going to change the size of this, because this is a little bit large. It's going to come to size, and I'm going to say I want it fixed width, and I'm just going to drag this down, and then I'm going to put a little bit of padding in onto the block. So I'm just going to come here to spacing, And I'm just going to put a little bit of padding, not a lot, maybe 10 or 15. And there we have our heading. Okay. So the next block is going to contain a description about the presentation. So we're just going to come in here. Once again, we've clicked on the container. You can see also on the breadcrumb down the bottom that it says container. And once again, I'm going to put that padding in, and you want to keep your padding consistent throughout. And we're going to put some padding onto the block as well. So now I'm on the block, and I'm going to put some padding on the top and bottom of this just to space things out. I'm going to come back to the container, and once again I'm going to set the layout to vertical and centered. And in this block we're going to put a heading, right? Because this is going to be the heading, and we're going to put some paragraph text in. So we come to the heading, just format this up. So I'm going to make this semi-bold so it's just not overbearing. Bring this up. And then of course, once you have done this, then you can come back and see what it's going to look like on the various other devices by clicking the devices up here. At the moment, I'm doing these edits for all devices. And this would be the presentation title. Okay. And then we also want to have a little bit of spacing. So I'm going to put some margin. Now what I do is I use a standard formatting protocol so that my margins are always put on the bottom. So if I ever want to change the spacing between two elements, I know that the margin is on the bottom of the element above. So it's very quick for me to come in and edit. So I'm going to put 20 there, and then this is going to be okay. And of course, that can be filled out. So that's our description, and the reason why I've done it in these blocks is because we're going to be turning the visibility of certain blocks on and off, and we always want the presentation title and description to be displayed whether or not the presentation is available or not. Okay, so now for this block, this is I'm going to click on the container. Once again, I'm just going to put some spacing, keeping that spacing consistent throughout. I'm going to come down, put the layout. I'm going to make the layout vertical and centered again. Okay, so now I'm going to drag some text in, some small text. I'm going to drag a countdown timer in, and probably keep it at the blue branding, like so. And this is just going to be presentation okay. And we're just going to put some padding at the bottom of this block, and I drag that into the wrong block. So I'm just going to pick this up. Just going to drag it in here. Okay. Drag this into the container and drag this into the container. That's better. Had it in the wrong place. Okay, I'm going to put some spacing. I just want to separate these two a little bit, not a lot. And I'm going to put some padding at the bottom of this block, like so. And once again, this is our pre-presentation block. And then this is our presentation block. So this is where our video is going to sit. So basically, I'm just going to copy this. I'm just going to drag this down into this block. Just drag another countdown in. So I'm just going to pick up countdown timer again and drag it in underneath that text. Sometimes it doesn't drop where you want it, so you can just drag like so. It's playing up. All right. Okay. This is our presentation. Now, once again, with this block, we're going to come onto the container and we're going to set our spacing. Once again, keep our spacing consistent. And we're going, hang on, I'm in the wrong. I'm going to click on the block, spacing. Okay, we're going to put some padding above and below. Then we're going to come to the container. Now, sometimes you click on something, you think you're on the container, but you can see down the bottom here, we're on countdown. So we click on the container in the breadcrumb and that will take us there, or we could click the up, we click this up arrow here and that will take us up to the next level. So once again, I want to put the spacing in here. So I want to put our 20 and once again, change the layout to vertical like so. And this time we also need to put some padding below. You can put a margin of say 20 below the countdown timer. And we're going to bring a video in. So come to media and video player, and we're going to drop that down underneath the countdown timer. And just for this example, I'm going to click on the video, click on the cog, and I'm going to say it's a groove video. Probably be a few in there. Select this one and click update. This is just a sort of a sample so you can see what's going on. Now I don't want this video being so wide on the main device, so I'm just going to change the size. I'm going to bring it down to say 75%. That's a good size, like so. The other thing that we can do then is we can look at we come to what it's going to look like on a mobile device, and we can click off. And now we're only applying the changes to the mobile device. And now I'm just going to bring this back up so that it's taking on the full. So this is the way that you can change the look and feel for each device independently, and it works really, really well. That's how you can set your responsive design. Okay, so now we're back applying changes to all, and then I'm going to put a margin underneath this. I'm going to spacing, come to margin. I'm going to put another 20 margin underneath this. I'm going to drag in 2 columns. So now I want 2 columns underneath. So I'm just going to drag this in underneath the video. So now we've got 2 columns. And in this one, we're going to put the image of the speaker. And we're going to put the speaker's name. So we're going to come up to, we're going to select text, maybe make it like a H3 tag, drop it in underneath the image. And then we may want to even put some social media elements underneath. So once again, I'm going to come up to all elements. I'm going to drag another 1 column underneath there, like so. So we can put some social media elements in, okay? And you may also want to put some resource links and all that sort of stuff in there. And then over on this side is just going to be the speaker's bio, okay? So what we're going to do is, because this is a 2 column, is we're going to pick this container, and we're going to come to spacing, and once again we're going to put our spacing in at 20. So we're still keeping our spacing consistent, but then it's going to, because when we come to the mobile view, these columns are going to stack on top of each other. Then we're going to click on this container, and we're going to put our spacing in here as well, 20. And then we're going to come back to this container, and we're going to make the layout vertical and center, okay? And just, actually I wanted the I don't know whether I selected the right one. I wanted the round image in here, so it's going to drop the round image in. And now I'm going to click on that image, click on the cog, click on choose. It's going to find somebody to stick in here, maybe me. These are already round, so it doesn't matter, but I'll just select this one for the time being and update it. Get rid of this one, so click on it, click the delete. Obviously we want some spacing between the image and the text, so come here, click on margin, maybe make that 10. Come to heading, click on text, make it semi-bold, make it a bit bigger. Tim Cooper. We want a margin underneath this, so come down to spacing, margin, and make that 10. And then this one here, we want our icons to sort of be across in a row, side by side. So we're going to come to this container and we're going to put the layout to horizontal. Okay, horizontal, maybe horizontal center. And then we can come across here once again to elements and come down to media and choose icon and drag that in there. And then we can choose whatever icon we want. Facebook. And then we can duplicate this, and it'll just pop up. No. Duplicate. And this one's going to be Instagram maybe. And this one could be LinkedIn, just for an example. Now they're a bit packed in, so what I can do here is I can say this one I want to put a margin, so it's spacing. I just want to sort of space these out a little bit, so maybe put a 5 in, and then put a spacing of 5. And then you can work with the icons as you would work with text. So if you want to change the color of the icon, just come to text, select the color, and come down, make it blue. And of course, you can also change the size here. So if you don't want those icons to be so large, maybe make it say 28. And maybe you want to make this one here purplish color. Make that 28. This one here is blue as well. Color. All right, so you've got all that control. Okay, so that's just an example, all right, of how you can do that. And then, of course, in here we just drag some text in for the bio. Okay, so that's our presentation, and we may want to have a bit more separation here. So we come back onto this one, and we're going to go maybe make this 30 just to drop it down. Now the other thing that you can do is you can use what we call global elements, or global blocks, sorry. So basically anything that is going to be static, you can set as a global block, and then you go into the global block and make a change, and then that change is automatically made on all the pages where that block is. But you only want to do that on static stuff. So where the information is going to be sort of changing for each block, then you wouldn't use a static block. But say for the post presentation block, we may want to actually create a a global block because we may want to come back and redesign or change the text or change the button, and we don't want to, if you've got 30 or 40 presentations, you don't want to come back and change that on 30 or 40 pages, obviously, right? We do the same thing. We'd make the header a global block, and we'd also make the footer a global block. But just to demonstrate a global block, we come over here onto blocks and we click plus, and now we're in the editor. So once again, I can now click here and I'm going to say I want an empty block, and we just work with this block exactly the same way as we would on the page builder. We'll put some padding in, so we're going to put some padding top and bottom. We're going to put the spacing, and we're also going to set the layout to vertical, and now we can start bringing our elements in. So this could be a call to action. So we could say here, we put a heading 2 here and say this presentation is no longer available. Put a border down the bottom, and then we could put some text in. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the formatting side of things, but this would be the call to action, and then we're going to put some margin in there as well, and then we could bring a button in as well. And the good thing with Groove is that you can, once again, you can format up your buttons, and then once you've got your branding done, you save that button as a design button, and then you can just drag that design button straight on, right? And it'll have the formatting preset, so you don't have to go through and reformat your button style all the time. So here, we could say we don't want this going anywhere, but we could say no. Upgrade to lifetime access now, and here we could say special summit pricing. Okay, and we may want to just drop this text down a little bit. The button's a little bit big, so like so. But say on this one, you may want to also include some information about the bonuses that they get with the lifetime access, so you can build this out. And that's why it's good to set this up as a global block, so that if you want to come back and you want to add some more to make it more enticing to the subscriber to upgrade to lifetime access, you can do that, and then that's going to be that change is going to be associated with every page that this block is on. And I'm just going to change the background of this block. I don't know, maybe just something like that. And I'm going to go save, and then I'm going to come back. I'm going to come back into this thing, get out of the way. I'm just going to rename this so we know what it is. So we could call this presentation CTA block. And now I can pick up this block. Actually, I can come back down here, click here, and I say I want to add a block, and now you can see I've got global blocks here. So I can click on global blocks. That's the block I want. Click on that. That drops in. And any change, as I said, any change I make to this global block is going to be made on every page. So I'm just going to delete this block here because we don't need it anymore. And now I'm going to rename this block. Don't know whether I can actually change the block name. Edit global block. I want to edit global block. Click here. Maybe I can change. Yes, up here. Once again, I've got to change the name of this block to post presentation. Save and exit. And then, of course, down the bottom, you've got your footer. So you're just going to drag some text in. And this is just going to be copyright notice. Once again, I would do this as a global block because you'd also want to have links to your privacy policy. Terms and also affiliates, right? So that would be your standard footer that you'd probably have on all your pages. Just going to change the text size down to something smaller. And I'm going to come to the container and I'm going to set the layout once again to vertical. And I'm going to put that left and right padding in. I'm going to come to the block. I'm just going to put a little bit of spacing. Once again, not a lot because we don't want it to be massive. So that's basically the page layout. Now let's automate it and let's see how this all works. So I'm going to click on save. I'm going to save this. So what do we want to do? Well, with this countdown timer, so as I said, this way of presenting the presentations does result in a higher uptake of lifetime memberships because we are automating the presentations to start and finish at set times. So instead of saying, say if you've got 5 presentations on the one day or 10 presentations on the one day, instead of saying day 1, here are all your presentations at once, and day 2, here are all your presentations at once, we are going to say on day 1, we've got 10 presentations. Presentation 1 starts at 10 a.m. Presentation number 2 starts at 11. Presentation number 3. So basically, the presentations are timed to a time so that people just can't come in and just pick and choose. We found that even though there is still obviously a good uptake for lifetime tickets because we are giving away bonuses and other incentives, that when we were using other platforms where we couldn't control the presentations display based on time, the uptake wasn't as much because people could basically watch all the presentations they wanted. So with this, now I'm just going to check the time. So it's 11:38 a.m. So if I sort of set this to say like 11:41, it should work. So I'm going to click on the timer and I'm going to say fixed, and I want this to become available today. So next, and I want it at a static time at 11:41, maybe even 11:42, because I'm just not sure how long it's going to take me to go through this. Okay, and this is where the magic happens, and this is in my time. So when the countdown reaches 0, what we want it to do is we want it to hide and show blocks. So we want to hide the block. We want to hide the pre-presentation block because we're making the presentation active, and we want to show the live presentation block. Okay, it's as easy as that. And then with this countdown timer, again, I'm going to pick today's date, static time. So this time I'm going to give it a couple of minutes. So it's going to be, or say a minute. So I want 11:43. Okay. And once again, come down here. We want to show and hide blocks. And when this one happens, we want to hide the live presentation blocks. And it looks like with the global block, the name of the global block hasn't come through, but we can sort of see that this is the block that we want to do, which is the post-presentation block. All right, and then we're going to go update and close. So basically what's going to happen is when the timer hits 0, the presentation will be, this timer will disappear, this block will appear, and then when this counts down, then everything will sort of disappear, and anything that will be visible will be the presentation title, like the header, presentation title, and the call to action and the footer. Okay. Now there's another thing too, is that when you if I just published this now, what would happen is that all the sections would sort of flash on the screen as the system's working it out, and it looks a bit messy. So the other thing I'm going to do is just to make it look very clean, is I'm going to click on this block. I'm going to come and put a delay. I'm just going to put a delay of 2 seconds. Okay, it doesn't have to be a long delay, but just enough. And then this one here, I'm also going to put a delay of 2 seconds. Actually, I can actually change the block up here, so I'm actually going to change this to post presentation, just to keep things nice and clean, and save that. All right, so let's publish this to a Groove subdomain, and I'll go Summit Demo and publish it. I'm going to have to come back and reset because I've run out of time with those timers. So I'm just going to come back. I'm going to change this timer to 11:44. I'm going to change this timer to 11:45. Publish it, and then we'll give it a test run. So now I'll open it up and see how it all goes. So as you can see, when it comes up, we'll have the presentation title and description. It's going to say this is going to be available in 1 minute. So we're just going to wait for that to count down, and then we'll just see how all the automation works. And they said this is a great approach, because yeah, it is a bit of fiddling. There is a little bit of work to get your presentation template done, but once you've got it done, all branded, all laid out with everything that you want on it, then all you need to do is just duplicate this template for every speaker presentation. Then just go in and update information, update the start and end time for the presentation, and you're done. So basically getting things, and obviously attaching the correct video and that sort of stuff. But it's very quick once you've got your template done. So now that's click down, and you see the other, the countdown to the presentation disappeared. And so now the only thing that's available on the page is the video, and then the presenter and the presenter's bio. And then what will happen is when this counts down to 0, the presentation will disappear. And the interesting thing with this, if people try to cheat and change the time on their computer, it doesn't work. They can't cheat the system. Once this expires at this particular time, the presentation is gone. They can't cheat the system. So just a few more seconds left, and we'll see what happens when this counter counts down to 0. So that's counted down, and there you go. Presentation disappears, and now all that's left on the page is the call to action. Okay, so I hope you found that interesting and useful. As I said, this way of setting up the presentations has proven to be the best as far as uptake for the lifetime. There are obviously other options to getting your presentations up, and in future videos I'll show you other layouts that you can do if you choose not to do it this way. There are many other ways, so I'll do that in future videos. If you've got any questions at all, please do not hesitate. Just drop them in the comments below, or you can reach out to me via email at tim@timcooper.au. That's tim@timcooper.au. Be more than happy to point you in the right direction. And as I said, if you want to get your summit up and running reasonably quickly, you've got things planned, but you just don't want to be tied up with all the tech work, and you want help building your summit platform, please reach out. I've had a lot of experience. I've been doing this now for 4 years, run a number of successful summits, and I've built a number of summit pages, from including everything, like every page required, from the landing page through to your upsell pages and speaker information pages and memberships, like everything involved in a summit. I can put it together for you quite easily. Okay, so that's this video. So once again, if you want to talk, get on a short call with me, the link for my booking schedule is also below this video. And yeah, any questions, comments, please put them below.